I'm Jake McHugh. I am 3-1 as a professional MMA fighter. I fight out of Next Generation MMA Liverpool. I have a background in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and Judo, and I absolutely love fighting.
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope you love fighting because it's what you do for a job.
Yeah, yeah, you should hope so.
Yeah. Well, let's get straight into it then. How's things going for you lately?
Really good. So I am less than 48 hours away from weighing in, so I'm both very happy and very not happy at the same time. It's just within an arm's reach, all this scram that I'm gonna eat a lot of.
Yeah, how's that cut going for you at the moment with all the water loading and whatnot?
Going perfect. I'm my weight's always good. I'm not a very big featherweight, so I never have to do a massive amounts of cutting or bathing or anything. So I haven't even really had to water load properly this time. I'm a pretty happy man. Still got to do all the no carbs and stuff, but which is rough, but it's just something you deal with as part of the game, innit?
All right, so let's talk about your camp. Obviously, like you say, it's only a few days away from your fight now. How's that preparation gone for you?
People say this all the time. It's gone the best ever, but this time I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it the most. It's been fun. There's obviously all the ups and downs of camp. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days. Sometimes you really don't want to get up in the morning, but you do. But overall, I've really enjoyed it. All I've been a lot more dialed in with my nutrition. I've been doing a lot of my own research into that, and just trying to be the best possible fighter I can be on the night. That's what it's all about, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And then whilst we're talking about your preparation, have you looked much into your opponent ahead of this bout?
Yeah. So I always watch all my opponents, give my own little breakdown, speak to all my coaches, see what they think, come up with a game plan, and then do what needs to be done on the night. He's a he's he's interesting. um, um, he's he's high pressure. He's high paced. He wings big bombs. He looks like he loves to scrap almost as much as me, and he's got decent grappling. In that it's what he does is effective. It might not be like pretty or even technical, but what he does is very effective, and he gets people tired, and he takes the back and he chokes them. But he's not going to get me tired, and he's if he take even if by some miracle he takes me back, he is definitely not choking me. So yeah.
So you're not worried about your gas tank being an issue then?
Not even a little bit. I think um my resting heartbeat was 33 beats per minute. So I'm fucking I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so you've touched a little bit on your game plan. You've touched a little bit on your grappling and whatnot. And obviously, you spoke about how you come from jiu-jitsu and judo. Would you say that's like your main strength when you're in the cage and that gives you like an advantage?
Yeah, definitely. So I think everybody has like their base thing, and like for MMA really more than any other sport. Maybe a little bit in jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, but everyone has their thing. You can do everything, but you've got your thing, and that's what you should base your game off, if that makes sense. So if you take, for example, me and Luke Riley. Luke Riley can grapple really, really good. Although, contrary to what happened last time in the cage, I can strike like relatively well, pretty good. I hang with Luke Riley in the gym. I hang with all the best strikers in the gym. Do you know what I mean? Um, but your game should be focused around your strengths, obviously. So me and Luke Riley were both about to fight Lorenzo. My game plan's obviously to take him down, take his back, and choke him. So all my striking, all my wrestling, all my everything is funneled into taking his back and choking him. Whereas someone like Luke Riley, all his wrestling, all his striking, all his grappling is going to be to get his opponent against the cage and absolutely light him up with punches. So that's sort of how I think that your strength should be applied to MMA, and that's where my strengths are applied to MMA. If that makes sense.
Yeah, to be honest, I like that way of looking at it. You can do everything, but deep down, you understand what you're better at.
Yeah, exactly. It's the path of least resistance. It's like I don't need to prove anything to anybody, not even to myself, that I can go in there and have a 3-round war striking with Lorenzo. That's just absolutely pointless. My strength is back taking and choking people, so that is what I plan to do.
All right, so that's actually giving me a question for you. Say if you can't get that takedown and you
Yeah.
basically are on the feet that whole 3 rounds, you think that'll change anything for you?
So no, not necessarily. So like the way I see it is, you've got like the fight is like a road. You've got the end of the road. The end of the road for me is taking us back and choking him. You've got loads and loads of different routes to take along that road to get to the end point, to get to your goal. So, like, let's say you go to work. You've got a million different routes to take to go to work, but eventually you'll end up at work. So all the different routes that you end up taking get you to that goal, get you to that endpoint. So my endpoint is taking the back. I've got a million different routes to get there, and then if one of them fails, I just go through another one. So like with the Conor Patterson fight, I don't think I actually took his back once, but I was on the journey to take his back constantly. And if you're constantly on your route to get to your goal, then you're winning, if that makes sense, because you're constantly in an offensive cycle and they're constantly in a defensive cycle. If you can keep your offensive cycle going by constantly heading towards that goal that you've got, then they're constantly defending. And then that's how you start to get like, that's how you'd get like a decision win, if that makes, I'll keep saying if that makes sense. But so, like, if you look at just because he's fresh in my head, if you look at Ilya Zaporia and you look at the Josh Emmett fight, Ilya Zaporia was pushing him back against the cage, and then Josh Emmett would come back, and then Ilya Zaporia would push him, and then it was constantly like this. So Ilya Zaporia wants to push you against the cage, light you up with punches, and then finish you. But if that can't happen, he just goes back to it, and he just has that goal in mind, and because he's constantly working towards it, he ends up winning most of the exchanges. That's sort of how I view. That's how I've structured everything.
Yeah, so everything you do in the cage is with that one goal in mind.
Yeah, exactly. That's the plan.
All right, I think you've gone into a lot of depth there, so I think it's time to
Okay.
time to change things up a little bit. No, don't worry. All right, so looking at your social media past few days, you've been talking about your art and your history, how you got an art degree and whatnot. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, 100%. So I got an art degree a good few years ago, and then I just never used it, and I forgot how to draw. Like I went to draw the other week or whenever, and I realized, wow, I've just don't know how to do this anymore. So I've been wanting to be more active on social media for a really long time, but to tell you the truth, I was a little bit kind of like scared, a bit nervous, not really wanting to put myself out there, but I realized that I sort of need to take ownership a little bit of my career, and you need to have a social media presence to be able to get in the UFC and to be able to get them big opportunities and the big fights. Like if I want to eventually move on to the get off the unplugged card and move on to the bigger show, I've got to get me wins in, but I've also got to make a name for myself, and this is part of the way I wanted to sort of let people know about me a little bit more and know about my life and do it in a way that is personal to me while it's also doing something that I actually really enjoy.
Yeah, and then obviously you're talking about you've not been consistent with that art for the past few years, and you're starting to get back into it. What was it that made you decide? You know what? I'm going to start doing this again.
Do you know what it was? Well, with that art, it's something that I've wanted to get back into for a while. I've just, to be fair, actually, with the drawing. So, you know, when you're lifting weights and stuff, you can overtrain, or when you're not even just lifting weights, when you're training anything, you can overtrain and you can really mess your body up. So you can do that with your head as well. You can overtrain your mind a little bit, and if you constantly just, so I'll sit at home and I'll watch fights and watch tape and study and research and watch instructionals for like hours and hours and hours on end. And the last camp, I sort of overtrained my brain a little bit, and I like spiraled, just overthinking, doing loads of mad stuff. So I wanted something that could give me a little bit of a mental breather and a mental break. So drawing was that thing for me to give me a little bit of a breather, to be like, okay, you can stop researching for like 10 minutes and you can have a little draw, basically, kind of like a reset.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, is that why you love art then?
Yeah, so I love art because it's just like MMA, where there's a rabbit hole that you can go down and never come out of, where like it's constantly changing. There's always new things. Nothing's ever really set in stone. Like if you look at MMA, you look at all the different champions, not like none of even the champions that are like strikers or grapplers, they all strike or grapple in a completely different way. There's just like a million different ways to do things, and that's what I love. I love the learning part of it, and I love that basically. And it's the same with art. There's no one way to do everything. You can go down the rabbit hole for forever.
Yeah, I like that. Go on then. So moving on. Also talking about your social media and what's personal for you. I know a big thing for you is being an ambassador for Oddballs. So I was wondering, would you be able to talk to me about how you got started with that?
Yeah, 100%. So, so unfortunately, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. I got over that. Happy days. But the little quote that I always use is, the thing cancer takes away from you more than anything is time. So now there's a chunk of my life that's like missing, and that doesn't sit with me well, basically. So I needed to make that time mean something to me personally and to hopefully help other people. So I messaged Oddballs, and they messaged me back, and they offered me, they were like, would you be an ambassador? And I was like, yes, 100%. That's incredible. So then I got started with them. I met up with them. We did a little bit of social media stuff, and then I've gone to a few events, and I'm going to be start doing my own events, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a sec. But yeah, so through all that, I've been able to help a few people myself. I've been able to help the foundation. So now, to me, that time in my life that's just gone means something, and it's kind of makes it worth it, because now I can use that to help other people. So it's a little bit of good has come out of it.
And for those who don't know what Oddballs is and what they do, would you be able to just give us a quick little summary of what they do?
Yeah, definitely. So Oddballs is the underwear brand, which I'm sure many people have seen. It's one of I think it's the biggest one in Europe right now. And then a couple like years ago, like in the 2010s, at some point, they made the Oddballs Foundation. And then the Oddballs Foundation is a charity based around raising awareness and educating people on testicular cancer. And then a couple of years after that, the Oddballs Foundation split off, and now it runs itself. And then the Oddballs underwear brand helps them, basically. But so the Oddballs Foundation is a charity whose like sole mission is to raise awareness and educate people on testicular cancer, because it is like the most curable cancer that you can get. The earlier you find it and get yourself checked and stuff, the easier your life's going to be when you've got it. Especially when you catch it early, it's so easy to sort. So they're trying to make people catch it early, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good message to be sharing it. Like, check your balls, because you never know, it could be you.
Yeah, exactly. That's their whole thing. Part of what I really like is it's one thing that I'm sort of passionate about and want to start doing more stuff with in the future, is just like creating habits in people and changing the culture a little bit, and making it just sort of normal to go to doctors or to get yourself checked, especially within the MMA community. Like, I spoke to so many people, and they were just like, yeah, if I'd have found something, I just wouldn't have gone. And that's insane. That's crazy. So yeah, it's like creating habits and changing mindsets a little bit, if that makes sense.
I mean, that's given me a thought. I was wanting to ask you, like, how did you find out yourself that you had testicular cancer?
So I found out completely by accident. I was in bed and I had an itch, and I itched, and then I felt something weird, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." And I looked at my bed, and I was like, "Hey, does this feel weird?" And then she felt it. She was like, "Yeah, that does feel weird." So then I got myself checked, and it turned out to be what it was. So that's one thing. That's why I'm like so sort of thingy about it. I actually accidentally found it really, really early, so I had quite an easy time with the whole cancer experience compared to some other people. But if I hadn't, then I wouldn't have. And I had no idea you were meant to be checking. I had no idea any of this. So purely by accident, I had a really easy time with it. So I want to put it into people's heads that you need to check yourself. And like the education part is massive because people just don't even know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's a funny story, though. It's like,
Yeah,
here, bear, feel me nuts.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So you touched a little bit on how you're hosting an event to raise awareness for Oddballs Foundation and testicular cancer. Do you want to go and explain it?
Yeah, definitely. So it's actually next week, next Sunday. So it's June 28th, June 28th at Next Gen MMA Liverpool. Um, the head coach Paul Rimmer has been kind enough to let me use the gym to host the event. He's boss for all stuff like that. So it's an open mat, like a jiu-jitsu one, but it's open to absolutely anybody who wants to come. Monster Energy are going to be there. Zebra Mats have offered their support and their help, and one of my sponsors, Ains Co-Fire and Security, as well as other photographers and media guys have offered to come down, which I'm buzzing about. And it's just going to be a really nice day, to be fair. So it's an open mat. There will be rolling, but if you don't want to roll and you just want to come and say hello, just come and say hello. I'm gonna hopefully there'll be people from Oddball, like the actual foundation, the actual Oddballs Foundation there. Maybe be able to give a quick talk about what the foundation is and what they do. So yeah, I'm buzzing about it. I'm really, really excited. Oh, the entry is a fiver, but all of the everything goes to the Oddballs Foundation, um, which is sort of half the reason why I'm doing it. I want to do something for them, help them.
Wow, would you say they've helped you a lot?
Sorry?
Would you say that Oddballs Foundation helped you?
Yeah, definitely. It helped me mentally put a good spin on a dark time in my life, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I am very grateful that they've allowed me to come on as an ambassador. So I want to do as much as possible for them and to help them and to help spread their mission.
Yeah. All right. I've got a question I want to ask you. It's kind of not come up naturally, so I just want to ask it anyway. Because I saw in the previous interview you spoke about during that time when you were going through chemo and stuff, you just kind of sat on the couch eating crisps and everything, and you went out of shape. I want to know, like, what is it that you did to go from kind of just couch potato to professional athlete once again?
So the first thing I'll say is my girlfriend is amazing and she has helped me through everything, and being able to have someone to just be with me. Not even doesn't even have to be supportive, doesn't have to be anything, just be with me as my person. That helps more than anything, to be honest. Just being like I not even saying anything but just not feeling good maybe on a particular day and just having it sat next to me, that helps a lot. But that being said, there is no secret ingredient. You just have to go and do the thing that you love. I was hungry to get back in the gym, but it was very, very difficult. But yeah, like I remember my first session back, it was it was rough. I gassed really, really bad and was just lying on the floor like a corpse. And then you have. It's hard because especially when you've broken your routine, it's hard to get back into your routine, and it feels weird and awkward, and then you don't really like. It was hard pulling myself up from just doing nothing all day and then trying to be active again. So there is no secret ingredient. You sort of just got to do it. One thing that did help me was doing it incrementally, though. So I started coaching again before I started training. So that got me back in the gym. That got me moving again. That got me brain work, and that got me being like, "Oh, that was good that I just taught them. Maybe I'll try this," and then stuff like that. So maybe step by step, having a good support system, but you just got to get up and do it and not be a bitch about it. To be honest, that's simple.
I mean, it's a valuable message, though. Just
Yeah.
fucking do it.
Yeah, you just got to everyone always looks on like YouTube or whatever for all these motivational quotes and stuff, but there there isn't anything. I always say there is no secret ingredient like our Kung Fu Panda, to be honest, because there isn't. It's just you. But like there is no magic. There is no nothing. I have a thing where I always say, if you're physically capable of doing a thing, then why aren't you doing the thing? It doesn't make any sense. It's like when people say, "Oh, I can't get up out of bed." Well, you can because you stood right in front of me, so obviously you can get up out of bed. So, I don't know. It's just kind of the mentality that's been driven into me over a while. You just got to do the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the message. I can't lie.
Yeah.
That actually leads me on really well to my last question. Now, to the people who are watching the interview, is there anything you've got to say to them?
Follow me TikTok. I'm only messing. Um, for the people watching the interview, I always get stuck on these bits. I'm a
You can
good
take your time.
fighter. Watch me fight Friday. Cage Warriors Unplugged, June 19th. I'll be on the main card. Watch. I fight good.